Hello, and welcome to Questions and Answers about migration and life in Germany. Today, we will be talking about the frequently asked questions about living and housing in Germany, with recommendations on the question, where should I live in Germany? Housing options might be different depending on where you live in Germany, be it in the north, south, east, and west, or in a busy city, or out there in the peaceful countryside. There are different options and opportunities. Every option has its pros and cons. It really depends on what matters to you the most. Here are some details. In the city, for example, most people rent apartments, while in the countryside, it is more common to find larger, more affordable homes. Sometimes you may even find houses with gardens. This is thanks to the lower housing costs and more available space in smaller towns and villages. In many areas, the public transportation connection from villages to nearby towns are good enough for commuting to work and for shopping. Sometimes you do need a car though. Before deciding where to live, it's a good idea to research different regions, job opportunities, and leisure activities to see whether you would prefer to stay in the city or move to the countryside. If you're not coming to Germany for family reunification, keep in mind that you need a job contract or vocational training contract to get a visa. So the choice of location might also depend on where you secure job employment. Especially in big cities, finding an affordable apartment can be challenging, and it may take some time to find a good one. You need to watch out for scammers as well. That's why we are sharing some practical tips on how to find a safe and suitable apartment or a room in Germany. So let's get started with the questions already. Question 1. What rental options are available in Germany? This is a very good question. In Germany, you have two options actually. So one, you can rent a whole apartment to yourself. An apartment can have one room or several rooms. You also have the possibility to rent a shared flat or a shared apartment, which the Germans call Wohngemeinschaft, WG or WG. So this is the option where you have your own room, but you share the common spaces with your fellow neighbors. So you share the kitchen, you share the restroom, and if there is a living room or a dining room, you share with your neighbors as well. So this option with the shared flat is usually cheaper and it is more sociable. So for someone who just came into Germany, this is very good. So you can interact with your neighbors. This option is also good for students and also for expatriates or professionals who are just in a city for a short period of time. To get information about a shared apartment, you go to WG gesucht, so WG gesucht. And then if you want a normal flat or a normal apartment, you go to websites like immobilienscout.de. Finally, for more help, contact the Prepared and Successful to Germany team in Nigeria. Question number 2. What type of rental contracts exist? There are two main types of rental contracts that exist in Germany. One, as a main tenant. In this case, you rent an entire apartment or a room in a shared apartment directly from the landlord. In this case, you are the main tenant, or in German, Hauptmieter. You sign your contract directly with the landlord. In the second case, you are a subtenant, and then you sign your contract not with the landlord directly, but with a main tenant. Usually, a main tenant who is absent for a while from his apartment can sublet his apartment to subtenants who are there for just a limited period of time. This means that in some cases, this subtenant cannot register his residence at that apartment. There is also the option that in some shared apartments, one person can be the main tenant, meaning he rents the whole apartment directly from the landlord and then sublets the individual rooms to subtenants to have a shared apartment. In this case, it is usually with the knowledge and the approval of the landlord. Question number 3. What documents are needed to rent as a main tenant? As a main tenant, you need to actually prove that you are able to pay your rent. So you need to present your pay slip for the last 3 months to show how much you earn. And then you also need a debt-free certificate. This is from your former landlord that shows that you have no outstanding debt or rent available. Then you need a good credit score. Usually, the company responsible for that in Germany is Schufa. That's why we call it the Schufa score or Schufa report, that shows that you have no debts or your Schufa is clean. If you're new to Germany, usually your Schufa is usually clean or there are no entries. And finally, you may need to fill out a form of other details or other personal details. These documents usually show that you can pay your rent reliably and that you have no outstanding debts. Question number 4. What is the difference between a basic rent, which is the Kaltmiete, and a gross rent, which is the Warmmiete? This is usually a very good question because when you sign your contract, you have two distinct figures on your contract. One is the basic rent, which is in German the Kaltmiete, and then you also have the gross rent, which is the Warmmiete. So the basic rent is just for the usage of the apartment. So your landlord gives you a room or an apartment, and you have to pay him for having that apartment, for living there. In addition to living there, you have to also consume. So you consume things like electricity or water, heating, garbage, cleaning. So all these are utilities or auxiliary costs, which in addition to your basic rent, make up the gross rent, which is the Warmmiete. Beside the monthly rent, you have to pay a security deposit. This is usually 3 months of your basic rent. This is just to protect the landlord against damages. When you move out, you get your security deposit back. Question number 5. What is not included in the rental price? This is a very good question because some utilities are not included in your contract. For one, we have the Wi-Fi, which is the internet. This is not included in your contract. Also, most of the time we have electricity consumption. This is in most contracts not included. So for these utilities, you have to get a separate contract with providers. In Germany, we have several websites where we can compare and choose the best or the cheapest. Such sites like Check24 or verivox.de. Question number 6. What other important things should I know about rental contracts? Number 1, be cautious of index rent, or what the Germans call Staffelmiete. This means that your rent will increase every year by a certain amount or a certain percentage, and you generally pay more compared to normal contracts. 2, beware of scams on apartment search apps and websites. They are very common these days. 3, never share your information, your personal information or bank details with anyone or any agent on the internet. 4, read your contract carefully and make sure you understand them. If you don't, then you get someone who is experienced to do that for you. It is very important. Finally, if you have further questions, you can go to the Prepared and Successful to Germany team in Nigeria, or you go to the local migration counseling service in Germany. It is called the www.migrationberatung.org. Question number 7. Can the outgoing tenant compel me to buy their furniture? The short answer to this is no. Many tenants tend to charge high prices for their furniture they intend to leave behind. If you feel the prices are okay and it is convenient for you to take over those properties, fine, but you are not compelled and you have the right to refuse, because these tenants don't decide who the next tenant would be. Question number 8. What should I do before moving in after signing the contract? After signing the contract and before you move in, you need the keys. So there will be an official key handover day. You will meet with either the janitor or an administrative staff or with the owner. They usually have a protocol that documents the situation of the apartment. So it records every existing damages, it records the condition of the apartment, and more importantly, it records the meter readings of water readings, electricity and heating. So ensure that all pre-existing damages are recorded. Otherwise, you will be held responsible when you leave. Question number 9. Are there any extra tips for finding housing? Yes, there are. Instead of renting with a private landlord, for example, you could also search for housing societies or residential cooperatives. Some of them are city-owned, which means that the conditions are usually better. Of course, that leads to having a very long waiting list because everybody wants to get in there. You can search for Wohnungsbaugesellschaft or Wohnungsgenossenschaft in your city. You can also place an ad on the internet or social media or at your workplace, or you ask amongst your friends. Finally, we hope this information was very useful. Do not get discouraged if you don't get an apartment immediately. Sometimes it takes time as there are several factors involved, but eventually you will get an apartment, a good one. Follow the information step by step and ask for support if needed. The Prepared and Successful to Germany team can provide assistance while you are moving. In Germany, the local teams can provide information and assistance as well. Teams like the Legal Migration.de, Migrationsberatungs.org, BAMF, Navi, or NIDO.